In this lesson, we're going to talk about the different types of women you can meet on these amazing websites, all part of the Skip the Date, Get the Girl program. There are loads of women, and they all have different goals and personalities. You can find whatever you're looking for. Don't worry, all these girls are stunning. Every single type of woman you can meet anywhere else, you can find through this awesome method of dating. But here, the women are more attractive, and you're pre-selected, which means the amount of effort required from you to meet one of these girls drops through the floor. So it's really important to kind of know the options that are out there as you're selecting what you're looking for. Now we kind of know who you are. Let's really dig into what you want, and let's find it. One of the first types of girls you're going to meet on these sites, and they're on all online dating sites. Even when I first started messing around on AOL when I was like 16 and it was dial-up internet, oh man, 20 years ago now, right? There were still girls on there that were just prostitutes. They're just looking to trade money for sex. And the way these girls kind of let you know what they're doing without going too far is they'll say things, they'll let you know pretty much in the very first email. They'll say, oh, it costs $500 a date, $3,000 a date. They just throw out crazy numbers because they think that all the guys on these sites are desperate. They don't understand the way the system works. They don't understand that. There are guys out there that don't know how to work these websites and don't know how to build a profile, and they kind of fall for these scams. You don't need to. With the profile you're going to build, you can ignore these girls. These are like, you know, maybe 1 out of 100 girls you message will be like this. So just ignore it. They'll say things like pay per meet, and true professionals, like girls that are prostitutes for a living, they're going to ask for money at the start of the date. As soon as a girl says anything like give me money before you meet me, or talks about money at all, that tells you that that's not the kind of girl you want to be meeting. That's the kind of girl that is ruining these sites, and don't get sucked in. These are less than 5% of the women you're going to encounter on the dating, and pretty much in my experience, most of the girls from Las Vegas, so if you live in Las Vegas, there's a much higher percentage, but everywhere else, it's really, really small percentage of the women. And in some cities, there's none. In Florida, where I used to live, it's almost zero. I think 1 out of like 500 girls I talked to fell into this category. They're just looking for another source for clients. They're not interested in a real relationship. They're not interested in anything kind of emotional or anything long-term. And really, they're just trying to trade their bodies for as much money as they can. They have the wrong mindset, and they're kind of locked into this. So these are pretty much the main girls you want to avoid, and all the rest of the types of girls are pretty much awesome. Now, you do have gold diggers on the website, and some of these girls are already planning, to find a guy, marry him, and then divorce him. And that's some of their strategies. But a lot of these girls, they're just thinking about getting married. They just want to marry a rich guy or a guy who's got something going on. Her eyes are on getting married, and maybe she's after 50% of your wealth. So you really have to keep your eyes open for girls that are like this too, that are asking a little bit too much money questions. They're not as bad as the first category, but this is the other one you want to watch out for. Some of these girls are really honest, though. They'll just say, look, I want to be with a guy who can provide me with a certain lifestyle, and then once I meet guys in that category, then I'm looking for love, or then whatever. So just make sure if you actually do marry one of these girls, you get a prenup, and you're golden. So don't worry, those are kind of the 2 dangerous ones. After that, all our other categories are awesome. Most of the girls you're going to meet, a really high percentage of girls on these sites, have student bodies. They're in college, and they don't want college boys. She went to college expecting to be surrounded by mature men, like totally different from the guys that she went to high school with. And who do you think goes to college? It's all guys from high school. They haven't changed. The only difference is now they have fraternities. They have unlimited access to beer. Their parents aren't there to kind of stop them from going crazy and binge drinking, all that stuff. So these college girls, they're kind of tired of low-end dates, going to either dive bars or fraternity parties. These guys in college, they don't have the money or they don't have the maturity. They don't take women out to dinner. Their idea of a date is, hey, come by my room and we'll order a pizza after we have sex. So what this type of girl wants is a real man who makes her feel like a real woman, rather than some guy who's just in between childhood and adulthood. She doesn't want one of those in-betweeners. So when she meets a guy like you with a little bit of class, who has a sense of life, has a sense of wisdom, and knows kind of where he's coming from, has some experience, she's going to look up to you. And even more important than that, she's going to respect you. These girls are great. They're going somewhere with their life. They have goals. She has intelligence. She worked hard to get into college. She's moving forward in her life, and she has all these aspirations. And she doesn't want to waste her college years dating low-quality men. So these types of girls are totally pre-selecting for guys like you. That's what's awesome. She doesn't want that type of guy. If she's on any of the sites that we talked about, That means she's looking for a guy like you. Next, we have girls with no preconceptions. A lot of these websites make it on the news for different reasons. There's always like a press release. I can always tell when a different town has had a news report because suddenly I'll see like 1,000 new girls from some random city in the middle of nowhere all join one of the sites. And that's awesome. There's always girls that go, wait, there's a website where I can meet guys that have quality, the guys that know what they're doing with their lives, the guys that are going somewhere in life. That's awesome. So any girl that's kind of drawn more towards intelligence, got something going on, rather than just looks, she's going to be drawn to these sites, and that's what's great. These sites kind of bring together girls like this. You know, she's never joined a site like this before. She's not really a Match.com kind of girl. She just saw a news story saying that the site is filled with rich or classy men or guys that have something going on. And it's like, wait, I can go on a date with a guy who wears a suit? That's amazing. So she joined the site. She has no preconceptions or any weird financial motivations. She's not even thinking about those types of things. She's a blank slate. This is the girl who's really just looking for someone who's a little bit successful in life, a little bit more successful ahead of her in life. And a lot of times just being a few years older than a girl gives you that edge you need. You don't have to be 50 years older than the girl. You could be 2 or 5 years older than a girl, and she's like, wow, this guy's ahead of where I am. That's awesome. He's further up the mountain. She's really excited to meet a great guy. She doesn't have any weird expectations. And this is really the most common type of woman on the site. This is really why I love to message girls that just join the sites rather than girls, because once the girls get a bunch of messages from tons and tons of really needy guys that don't understand the system, that don't understand the right way to kind of interact with women, these girls start to get negative preconceptions, and the response rates go down over time. That's why it's really great to get a fresh girl before some other guy sent her a bunch of dumb messages or really threw her off of the track. So right now she's just a normal blank slate, perfect for you to work with because she's really open to whatever you tell her you're looking for. Most new members have this mindset and they're just looking for a pre-selected man. She has nothing else, no other preconceptions, and that's awesome. The next type of girl we have is the sugar baby. This is the type of girl that's been around the block a few times. You know, a lot of these sites talk about being a sugar baby site or whatever that is, and the good thing about that is that it gets tons and tons of girls on the site, but the reality is that most girls who join the sites have no idea about the sugar baby process. They're really not looking for that. Very small percentage of girls on the sites are actually this type of girl, but you just want to be aware, and depending on where you are in life, this might be exactly the girl you're looking for. You know, when I meet a girl who starts talking about how she's been around the block before or she knows the deal and all these kind of things, if she really pushes forward a few times, I kind of pull back because I'm not interested in a girl that has her concepts of relationships set up by another guy. I don't basically want someone who another guy told her how to have a type of relationship. So if she says something like she knows the deal or I've had tons of relationships before, anything like that, and she's really a professional sugar baby almost, those are the type of girl that I avoid, you know, being a little bit younger. It just means that she's dated some guy in the past, usually a total sucker, and she just told him, hey, I'll be your girlfriend, but you got to pay me like $5,000 a month or something crazy. And some guy fell for it for a while, you know. After a few months, usually these guys cotton on to the fact that they don't have to pay girls to date them. They're being ridiculous. You know, they're wasting their time because 90% of the girls on the site are not looking for that. The problem is that the first girl he talked to, he agreed to whatever she said. So now he breaks up with her and he's moved on to a normal girl, but this girl's trying to find her next fish, you know, the next guy she can catch. So she's locked into that mindset for a past relationship. She's going to expect a lot of financial support, and she probably won't develop any feelings. You know, her feelings will only be towards your finances. This is really the type of girl I avoid. This is, again, why I like to find girls. I don't really want to message a girl who's been on one of these sites for like 7 years. You know, or been on even for more than 6 months. I look for girls that are brand new because I love the blank slates rather than the girls that are kind of like the old hand. For many of these girls, these girls will replace any aspirations they used to have with just the goal of becoming a professional sugar baby. They're like a professional arm candy. A lot of these girls will be dating multiple guys. And, you know, if you want the pretty woman lifestyle with a really stunning woman who won't get emotional at all, then this can be a really great path for you. This isn't the ideal path for me, but I have definitely some friends that have gone down this road and been very happy with it. So it's really just about having your eyes open before you step in. But there's lots of other great options. For example, the No More Losers. This girl has awful taste in men. You know, she's only dated losers in the past. She's been with guys who borrow money from her. They have no jobs. They're going nowhere in life. The kind of guy that doesn't have a car and she has to drive him to and from his job interviews. And She doesn't know how to break her cycle of dating losers. She doesn't know how to date a guy who's successful. And her definition of successful is literally makes enough money to support himself. You know, you could live in a shitty apartment, drive a shitty car, but if you don't have to borrow rent money from her, you're already like 3 steps up. So for her, she just wants to jump up social echelons. This girl's awesome. She knows that the social circle around her is filled with the wrong type of guys, the guys she's been dating in the past. She wants to escape that social circle. And so her experience is that she's never dated a man who treats her with kindness and respect and has been like sweet to her. She's never really dated a high quality guy like you. And when you demonstrate that you're a good guy, she's going to love it. The parts of your personality, you know, the things that make you a great guy that like women your own age or women in your own like social group don't want to date you for. You know, they're like, oh, he's such a nice guy, but these girls will actually like, finally, it's a nice guy. I'm sick of assholes. She just wants a guy to be nice to her, and she'll give you everything your heart desires. These girls are great. They're so sweet, and they just want to meet a guy who treats them right. Then what's even more fun, if you're wild like me, the dynamic duo, these are the girls that come in pairs. There's a lot of girls that decide to join the sites together. You know, they're friends, they're roommates, they're sisters, or even lesbian couples. If you really want to live on the wild side, you know, these girls can be anywhere on the spectrum. But this is definitely one of the fastest ways to have a threesome. And these girls are a blast. You can try out lots of relationship variations. You know, these girls can be just roommates, you know, that just met in college, all the way up to a lesbian couple that's looking to form a long-term triangle relationship. That's like, hey, we're looking for a guy to live with and kind of be permanent. So anything you're kind of looking for, open to, you can find that craziness. This is really one of the greatest ways to experience every fantasy and variation you've ever had. These girls are all, no matter what, these girls are always a blast because they're with someone they like when they meet you. So the two of them are already having fun. You know, there's nothing like going to a club or a bar with 2 girls on your arms and kissing each of them when everyone can see you. Man, every guy in the room will think you're a god. You'll be the envy of every single guy. 1 girl, it's believable. 2 girls, unbelievable. And that's kind of one of the ways to feel like a king. Then you have the party girl. These are the girls that are just hedonists to the core. They live for pleasure. These girls are the same ones who go out to high-end clubs and party every weekend, sometimes every weekday, and they just live for hedonism. They live for pleasure, and they're always looking to have fun. These girls are predominantly in big cities, Los Angeles, New York, London. This is where you see a lot more of these girls. But man, they're kind of tired of meeting single-serving men. You know, the guys that kind of are in this scene are looking for a new girl every weekend and are kind of single-serving guys. But these girls are looking for like a steady guy to party with them every week. And if you've never really gone out partying with a really hot girl every weekend, you can have a really, really good time. You know, these girls always make sure that they look amazing. They're never, ever bringing their B game, and they love to be your arm cami. You know, they're a lot of fun. It's just, you know, you got to be ready to drive a Ferrari. But, man, it's a lot of fun. Then you got the Wanderer. These are girls that just want to see the world. There's tons of these girls. In fact, one of the sites that we talk about is all about girls that are of this type. If you like traveling at all, this is the best way to find a travel girl. I have so many friends and so many guys I've met in life who just let girls, the women they dated, suck the travel right out of them. One of my friends, his dream was to go to India and just do all these amazing things. And his girlfriend was like, you can't go to India. We can't go unless we're married. So he marries her, and then she goes, I just want to wait a little while, and then she gets pregnant and goes, there's no way I'm taking a kid to India. So she 1, 2, 3 stepped him and killed his dream. This guy never gets to live his dream because he dated the wrong type of girl. Well, that's not going to happen here because these girls, they have a passion for travel, and she realizes, you know, she's early 20s and realizes that if she waits until she can afford her dream vacation, she's going to be too old to actually enjoy it. She wants to see the world, and she's looking for a travel partner to show her how amazing the world can be. Lots of these girls don't have any preconceived expectations. They're not looking for 5-star resorts or craziness. They're looking for the type of guy that can just travel with her, has a vision, and can take her somewhere nice, you know, half decent. You can rent a villa anywhere in the world. Tons of amazing places I can tell you about that I've rented. $1,000 a month. You can get somewhere amazing on a beach in country after country after country. Just a month per country, and this girl will love you. She's not looking for the 5-star resorts and sweetest massages. She's just happy to backpack around the world with you, or even a notch above backpacking is really where she'll be super happy. A notch above backpacking just means she's not staying in a dorm room. She's staying in a room with just you, and she's going to love it. We also have the job seeker. These girls are kind of interesting. They join these sites because they know there's pre-selected men and they're just trying to become your personal assistant. They're looking for a job. She's looking for a job more than just mentorship. She wants to be on salary and get health insurance and all that, like a secretary from Mad Men. She doesn't know how to meet successful men. She doesn't really know how to apply for jobs in the normal way and work her way up. So she's kind of joined the sites hoping to find a business relationship. This girl can be great because she'll introduce you to all of her hot friends. Personally, I would recommend just staying away from this type of situation because if you have a person, you hire an assistant that you met on a dating site that you're super attracted to, you've already created kind of a risk. And I think it's really good to firewall your professional from your personal life. There's no reason to mix the two because there's tons and tons of other amazing girls. I just want you to be aware because every once in a while I'll message a girl and she'll reply with her resume, which is really weird, but it's out there. This is probably the lowest percentage of girls. You know, maybe it's 1 out of every 1,000 or 10,000 girls on the site, but they're still out there. And what they're looking for is really not what we're looking for. You're looking for someone to date, not some weird personal assistant situation. There's tons of other ways. If you want a hot personal assistant, I can tell you a dozen other ways to do it. I used to have a really hot professional model assistant. My best friend has a model personal assistant. I know how to go down that path, and we can talk about that. But really, this is not the way to do it. There's much better ways. There's loads more other types of girls that are all awesome. There's the foreign baby. This is the girl that's just seeking the American dream. You can get girls from every foreign country you can think of. You know, Australia, New Zealand, England, anywhere from there all the way to Thailand, Russia, Ukraine. You get the whole spectrum. So these are really great if you're traveling, you know, and if you're one of those guys that wants to meet a super hot foreign girl that kind of has that great foreign mindset. That idea, you know, that the man is awesome and she wants to be like take care of you. If you love that Eastern European or Southeast Asian mindset that a lot of great women have, you can meet tons of women these ways and kind of bypass the whole foreign bride scam. All those foreign bride sites are really scammy and there's a lot of issues there. It's hard to find reality. You can bypass it because these sites, the girls are real because they don't have a huge percentage. And also if you're traveling, every country you go to, you can find girls real easily. Great way to meet a girl and say, hey, I'm in town for a week. I just want someone cool to hang out with and take out to dinner. The next type of girl is one of my favorites. Is she wants a mentor and she's seeking your wisdom. She wants access to high-level businessmen who can give her access to knowledge and business contacts. And there's a real spectrum of types of girls. A lot of the girls have started their own business and they have some idea and they've really got that entrepreneur spirit, that entrepreneur heart. And they love meeting a guy who's like an entrepreneur or kind of been a little bit successful and has a sense. Because a lot of people, I can tell you this, when I first started my first business, I had no sense of money or taxes or keeping track of things or how to grow a business or how to get customers or how to retain customers or how to integrate a business with a website. All these things that you kind of learned by working for a business or working for yourself, you can pass on that knowledge. And this is one of the best types of relationships. It's really great because she'll look up to you. You know, she can provide that kind of experience that guys who are like banging their secretaries get without any of that inappropriateness or risk to your career. Another type of great girl is the wannabe model. And there's a whole spectrum. There's also girls on here that are tier 1 models. You'll see models on these sites that you recognize. But there's a ton of girls that are kind of 18 to 25. They just want to be a model. They're trying to start a modeling career. And the truth is, starting that career, it's really hard and it's really unstable. It's hard to get steady gigs. And she wants someone with some maturity and stability in her life to make up for the fact that her business life, her attempt to start a career is so tumultuous. Because if she takes a full-time job, she can't go to auditions. So she's always caught between the thing. Same thing with all that wannabe actresses in LA. Man, LA is wild and crazy for these types of girls because they don't have stability. You know, entertainment careers don't allow for stability. So these are great girls. There's tons of these girls and they're awesome. And then you get girls that are actually going to be super rich. One of the girls that I went out with, her father was crazy rich. Okay, like super rich, government contractor. I don't even want to say what industry it was, but I'm talking billionaires, right? And she'd just grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And she's like, she's in college, and she said, look, I don't want to date college guys. I'm looking for a guy that knows what he's doing, has been around the block, and has a little more maturity and has his own job and things like that. So you can possibly meet a girl that's 10, 20, or in my case, 1,000 times richer than you. So there's a whole spectrum. There's tons of amazing girls. There's tons of different types of women. Yeah, there's a few types you want to avoid, and we covered those first, but there's so many great girls. The percentage-wise, more than 90% of the girls are amazing. So there's a very, very small percentage that we just want to warn you about, so you have your eyes open. But most of the girls on these sites, they're awesome, they're amazing, they have great personalities, sweethearts, and you're going to have a blast.